All right, let's bring in now former IDF spokesperson and senior fellow at the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies. Good to see you, sir. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. Good evening.
So give us what you're hearing latest, and specifically what Zach was just reporting there about these lower-level commanders in the IRGC having the authority to launch these missiles by themselves. Maybe that's why we're seeing places like Doha and the UAE also being struck by these missiles. How long can we expect these attacks from Iran to continue?
Yeah, what I'm hearing now is actually sirens, just like Zach reported, because the Iranians are firing missiles at Israel again. I think, the Iranians will continue to do what they're doing, which is basically lashing out. It doesn't make a lot of sense what they're doing, firing all across the Middle East, killing civilians, firing indiscriminately, killing 9 civilians in Israel today, killing civilians in the UAE, in Kuwait, and impacting infrastructure in the UAE. It doesn't make military sense what they're doing. So maybe one excuse or reason is that they've lost effective command and control, and that's why they're doing what they're doing. They will, I think, continue firing missiles as they are until we deprive them of the capability to do so. And that's in progress. Israel and the US, our planes are hunting missile launchers and making it more and more difficult for the Iranians to fire missiles. It is a big challenge to locate all of the missile launchers and take them out. But one by one, Israel and the US, we are peeling away at those capabilities. And just for contrast here, when I compare the situation now to last year in June, the last conflict, Operation Rising Lion, then by 2 days of fighting, Iran had already fired hundreds of missiles towards Israel. And that is not the situation we're in today. They've fired dozens, and they're firing it in smaller salvos, lesser amount of missiles. And as a result, we're capable of actually intercepting many of them.
Yeah, and John, what we're seeing right now on your screen as part of Operation Iron Dome, it looks like more of these ballistic missile ordinances being fired off to intercept them. We've also seen today, Shannon, the Royal Jordanian Air Force joining in, going out looking for drones, and a surprising announcement, somewhat surprising announcement from Mohammed bin Salman in Saudi Arabia, authorizing the Saudi Air Force also to participate in the effort to make sure the skies over these countries are safer.
Which originally they had refused to allow the United States and Israel to use Saudi airspace, and now, to your point, Jonathan, perhaps there's a pivot in that kind of red line because of the incoming that the Gulf state region has now been taken.
Yeah, what the Iranians are doing, they're shooting themselves in the foot by lashing out and by attacking other sovereign countries. They've been waging an indirect war against Israel for decades, and but they haven't fired at other countries. The last time I think they fired massive amounts was in 2018 when they struck those oil refineries in Saudi Arabia. But other than that, we haven't seen the Iranians fire at their neighbors. We've seen them threaten and bully, a lot of that, definitely. We've seen them use clandestine operations and terrorist activities all across the world and in the Middle East. But we haven't seen these kind of blatant attacks and aggression. And I think it'll prove to be a mistake, a strategic overreach. You can see that Gulf states who aren't usually known for their battlefield prowess and for their bravery to take up arms and defend. They usually are good at other things. And now they're actually saying, well, we're going to defend our airspace, and we're not happy what the Iranians are doing. So we'll see how it plays out. But the more important things are that now Israel and the U.S., but specifically Israel, we've also started attacking regime targets. Regime targets in Tehran, those centers of gravity that are part of the machinery of the Iranian regime that is oppressing the Iranian people. And that's, a whole new box that Israel is opening. which is designed to give that level of support to the Iranian people that has been promised. So that's new and interesting, and we'll see how that will affect the situation on the ground as well.
Yeah, there was some reporting today that one of the judiciary buildings was struck where they were actually making the decisions to go ahead and kill the Iranian protesters. And we don't have confirmation on this, but we mentioned the smoke billowing up from the streets of Tehran. That is in the area where that building is located. So we'll find out if that's actually what has been struck.
An IDF spokesperson had come out a short time just as we were coming to air, Jonathan, suggesting what you just said, that it devastated the center or the brain, the basically CENTCOM operation for a lot of these missile strikes.
Yeah, and there are many more targets like this. You know, there's the Basij headquarters, there's the IRGC headquarters, there is the so-called Ministry of Justice. Quds Force. There are many machineries of the Iranian oppression machine. Today, the official national broadcaster, the TV station, which is basically the propaganda arm of the Iranian regime, was struck and destroyed with very positive BDA. So there's a lot going on here.
Yes, and President Trump indicated earlier today that he feels like things are ahead of schedule already for Operation Epic Fury, but we will see where it goes from here. Jonathan Conricus, thank you so much for being with us. Always great to see you.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.